Howdy. So I got a letter, got one letter today that I'll read you. It's from John Carlino. He says, "Hey Artie, thanks for sending Out of the Bloody Tapes. It was great. I got the address from an ad. I think Stan Bowman actually sends it to me. I buy CDs from him sometimes, so it probably came in a package. I saw his ad in the zines, so I assume you know him. He's a cool guy. I also follow you on Instagram. So thanks. Thanks, John. I am a Richard Laymon fan myself. Your article inspired me to pull out Night in the Lonesome October to read again. That's just the best. Like, to get someone to read, and he read Night in Lonesome October again. That is a great book. I'm also a big fan of metal music, so that's a great bonus too. I collect a lot of horror on DVD and Blu-ray, and of course videotapes. I scour thrift shops for good titles. They're getting harder and harder to find, at least around here. Tubi is a free streaming channel that has a ton of old weird stuff on it. Good amount of 70s grindhouse and drive-in stuff too. Check it out if you haven't already. I'll wrap this up and quit rambling now. Great zine. Keep me posted on the next one. Thanks again, John Carlino. So thanks, man. And it's a coincidence that I got his letter today, and he's talking about Laymon, because I'm going to talk about the Laymon short story, The Hunt, that is in this anthology. And man, I read it last night, kind of late, past 10 or 11. And I just had a good feeling about this story. I mean, it's Laymon. I have his short story book, Dreadful Tales. I'm hoping that The Hunt is not in it, because that will make it even more special. So I read it. I read the first couple of paragraphs in a recent video, and man, it's so good. I won't read it again, but it's about this girl, Kim. She's doing her laundry, like at night, kind of late at night, in a laundromat, and just this guy's sitting in his car staring at her. Like, at first she's not sure he's staring at her, but after a while, like, so he's staring at me. But she's cool. Like, she's, oh, there's people here, he's not going to come and do anything. And just all these thoughts that she has about, and, there's no way, I mean, it's hard for guys to understand what girls feel like when guys are perving on him. I mean, yeah, as a guy, you sometimes you feel like, oh, maybe this, I could get beaten up, but it's just not the same. But Laymon kind of gives you insight somehow. He's such a good writer that he kind of makes you feel what it's like to be vulnerable, like a girl is, because she's thinking like, oh, if he wasn't, like, she can't really see him, but just from his, like, head and his jaw and just the whole presence he's giving off, she could tell he's like a big scary dude. And she's all, if it was like a wimpy guy, I could handle that. So, like, finally there's just her and one other person in the laundromat, and it's like a bodybuilder guy. Like, she says, like, something like he couldn't touch his knees together, or he couldn't, like, he's just so big he can't, like, put his body down. Or, I mean, that's stupid. Like, he can't, like, touch parts because he's so big. So she, like, asks him, like, hey, you think you could do me a favor? Like, can you stay with me? Like, this guy's watching me. And he's, he looks, and she's like, don't look. And he's like, yeah, sure. And then, like, what's his name? Oh, I can't. It's like, it's in my brain. So, Bradley. Bradley, and like she asks him for help. She asks him for, to stay with her, and it says like Bradley, like kind of he looks her up and down. Kim, I don't. I pictured an actress. Like don't know her name, but and this is like typical for Laymon. It's always like she's got long blonde hair, part in the middle, blue eyes, really cute. I don't know, whatever you can think of a girl like that. And like he looks at her, and then he's like, oh crap. He's like, could it be the Bolton Mountain Killer? And, he's like kidnapped girls and taken up in the mountain and killed up into the mountains and killed them. And he's like, he looks at her and she's like, what's going on? He's like, you look like his victims. Long blonde hair, part down the middle, blue eyes, pretty. And he's like, you're really pretty. And he starts telling me, you reminded me of my ex-girlfriend, and I was worried about her. And just goes on, and that is scaring her even more. And then like he's like, okay, let me see if there's like a way out the back. And he goes and he comes back and he's like, no, there's no way out of here. And then he tells her like, well, I'll walk out with you. Just get your stuff. I'll walk out and let me get in your car, and we'll drive away, and it'll look like I'm with you. And then Kim's like, oh, this guy's kind of like, he wants to be in my car already. And she's like, what if Bradley's the Bolton Mountain Killer? And then she's like, what if they're working together? And that's what I was thinking. I was, oh man, Kim, you're just scaring yourself even more. But with, Laymon, there's always a twist. Especially, I haven't read too many of his short stories, but I knew in a short story, I was like, Kim, she's not going to get killed, I don't think. It's just so obvious that the guy watching her is a killer. Maybe it's Bradley. And so, like, okay, she's getting her clothes, and then Bradley's like, oh no, he's coming in. And then that guy, he comes into the laundromat, and Bradley, to his credit, he like steps to that dude, and he's like, hey, what's going on, man? And that dude he kicks Bradley's ass, but when he comes in, he has a rifle slung around his back. He has like a knife. His face is painted black. He's like decked out like a hunter with the vest and the cap, and he beats up Bradley, and he kidnaps Kim, puts her in the trunk of his car, and takes her up to Bolton Mountain. And she wakes up. I guess he knocked her out too. And she when she wakes up, when she comes to, I guess maybe, I don't know, I can't remember if she was knocked out totally. But she feels like they've been driving for like an hour, which is enough time to get to the mountains. And he takes her out, and he's like, you got a 5-minute head start, then I'm coming for you. And I was like, yeah, the hunt. Well, it's called The Hunt, but I was like, man, this is like hunting humans for sport story. And he lets her go. He gives her a 5-minute head start. And Kim's like, he's not gonna give me 5 minutes. And she's running. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention when the story started, like she's washing her clothes, so all she had to wear was like her shorted, like old high school shorts that were really short on her. Tank top, I think it was a tank top, maybe just a regular shirt, no bra. And then Laymon, like, he really wants his characters to be naked because she's wearing a white shirt, and like she's like, it's like glowing, so she takes it off, so she's bare chested, and she stuffs the shirt down the front of her shorts. And that's all I'm going to tell you. Because the story was so good. Like, it's just Kim running through the woods. She doesn't know where the killer is. She's trying to survive, and she has all these thoughts running through her head. And it was just so good. And then the ending, like, I was like, man, it's not long enough to be a movie, but it could be man, they don't even have, any anthologies anymore. I mean, like, no Tales from the Crypt or Tales from the Dark Side or Monsters. Maybe even it could be Twilight Zone, Outer Limits. It couldn't be a Black Mirror though. I've only seen a couple episodes of Black Mirror, but I don't know if they were ever just straightforward like slasher stories. Maybe they were. I don't know. But man, I was like, this is when I finished it, and I was so like, I was like, it perked me up. It kind of woke me up because I had to go to sleep. And I was like, man, this is so good. How did Layman come up with these ideas? Because he's my favorite writer. I love all his books. This short story, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. Um, and it's only like 15, 16, 17 pages long. But yeah, when I saw this, I saw Dinar Koontz, John Coyne, F. Paul Wilson, Robert McCammon. So I bet Layman's in there, and then so I'm gonna say this. His is the best story in this collection. It has a Dinar Koontz story called Trapped, and it's like it's 58 pages long. I've read 24 pages. It's okay. It's not horrible like a lot of his stuff is. Yeah, Koontz, man, is just I have such a love-hate relationship with him. It has a short story by John Coyne called Flight. I read one John Coyne book. It was horrible. But I'll give him another chance because I was looking him up and well, because it has a little forward. His latest novel, Hunting Season, and I looked it up, and it's like a Hills Have Eyes backwoods horror, and I was maybe I'll read his short story. I already told myself I'll read John Coyne's short story. If it doesn't suck, I'll get that Hunting Season book. But I bet his story's gonna suck. Then we got Robert R. McCammon, who I remember I thought he was good, but I reread. I read Wolf's Hour, and that was horrible. And so many other writers. It's got Pilots by Joe R. Lansdale, and that's awesome. It's got a story by Rick Haltala called Getting the Job Done, and I just saw a book of his at Pink Zeppelin Books. And then all these other writers. I've heard of Al Sarantonio. I think I read one of his books and it sucked too. So, but it doesn't matter. The Layman story, The Hunt, was worth the buck. And yeah, it just reinvigorated my love for horror and like all these movies. I was like, yeah, some of them are good, some of them not so good. Layman just comes and just knocks it out of the park with characters, story, ideas, thoughts of the you can't do that in a movie. You can't go into a character's brain like you can in a short story, or I mean any story. Yeah, it just like it energized me. And I just want to tell everyone about this story, but I can't go to every some person. And besides, no one wants to hear it. But if you watch this video, you kind of have to hear me out. So man, yeah, it's just words. Like, how does he do it? How did he weave such a nail biting, interesting story? It's an art, and I want to say maybe I'll review the Koontz. It doesn't suck, but I bet it's not gonna it's not gonna do me like the Layman did or that John Coyne. But I'll give him a shot, and all these other guys. So yeah, and this is like all stalkers. It's all about stalkers, and that was a great stalker story by by Layman, and it has a twist, and the twist, like, it was so good. Uh, Maybe I don't know if you could stretch it out to a movie. I don't know what you would pad it with to make it good, but oh man, I would love to see it. And I don't know where you can read it. Maybe you can find it online. Maybe you can find this book. I don't know. That's another thing. It's just a tiny little like moment in time in writing, and it almost could be lost. Like I just found this by chance, and I don't want to check my Layman and short story collection. I don't want to cheapen it anymore, but maybe having two copies of the short story is a good idea. So maybe I will check it. But man, yeah, The Hunt by Richard Laymon. If you can find it, it's only like 18 pages, maybe. What did I say? 15, 16, 17, 18. Uh, yeah,